To my wonderful daughter who turns 14 this Christmas Day, may you always remember where you sit in my heart. I press deep into the seat, its oversized cushions enveloped my tired body as I hold the last key to my heart and tuck it in as tight as a mother did her newborn child. No matter how hard I fight it, my eyes close and press away the tears. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board Flight 9735 with service from Los Angeles to Charlotte. We here at American would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and ask that you fasten your seatbelts while ensuring your seats and table trays are in their most upright position. Please make sure all carry-on luggage is stowed in the proper compartments overhead and under the seat in front of you. We will begin our pre-flight safety briefing in just a few moments. Thank you. Mr. Bell, are you okay? Ugh. Leave me alone already, a voice whispers. Sir, can I get you a drink or a snack before we take off? I feel a gentle tap on my shoulder. Still clutching the last of my possessions, I open my eyes and see a blurry woman bent at the waist. I blink away the blur and read her name tag. No, Danica, I said, just having a bad day. Okay, said Danica, and offered a compassionate smile. I'll be right here if you do. Ugh, not literally, I hope, and close my eyes, remembering the last sight through the shutter. Isn't it funny how life loiters around the insignificant, the details often taken for granted, the remarkable gifted to the unremarkableness? It's the obscurities that become an afterthought amongst the forethought of the mundane. My best example of this, jet fuel. It's the one odor that gets me every trip and stands in an invisible wall reminding me I will soon exit the safety of the jet bridge. My name is Michael Bell, though the world has many tags for those like me, Babo, Adasan, Padre, Papa, and even sometimes Old Man. But the one that reverberates my heartstrings every time is Daddy. What I love more than life itself, at least sometimes, isn't so much the word, but the gentle inflection that accompanies the single syllable. The way it's said says so much more. Dad! I can hear her now, though the distance between us leaves nothing more than a loving echo. What she doesn't know, at least until now, is how often I tried to get her to say, Dad! Even the memory brings an ear-wide smile that makes my heart leap inside my ribs. Sadly, it has to, because there's nothing else. I look down and pull it closer, this time as if she's inside. My heart no longer leaps, but races to a void no man should ever face. After losing hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars, I had to put a stop to the pointless thoughts monopolizing my life. Those days had passed after realizing that no matter how hard I tried, the answers never came. The who, the why, the how, and the what will remain a mystery long after I take my last breath. But that doesn't stop them from haunting me. I close my eyes and let my mind drift to the familiar thoughts. Who is it that rang my doorbell that Saturday morning 11 years ago? Why did someone leave this camera sitting on my doorstep that morning? And how a regular, everyday camera without a single means of storing pictures can share thousands of them with only me? And what type of camera doesn't use internal or external memory? Not even 35 millimeter film. And yet, flight attendants, the captain's voice bellowed throughout the plane from overhead. Please prepare for takeoff. Puzzled, I searched the aisle for Danica. Somehow I missed the safety demonstration. After a moment, I shrug it off as another example of how much my life has turned into a blur. From behind, Danica strolls through the rest of first class offering one last seatbelt check, and then follows the captain's orders. As the plane speeds up, we make eye contact when she smiles and offers a slight nod. I return the gesture, though trying to hide the forced response. It never matters how often I take to the skies. Each time I step onto a plane, I'm reminded of how little control I have over my life. Not to mention how simply living has moved me in unexpected directions, many of which I never welcomed. To say my life is not perfect would be the understatement of the year. However, carrying the title of father to the most beautiful young girl is what brings sunshine to my sometimes darkened world. Panicked, my eyes shoot open. Something resembling a snoring wild boar pulled me from a deep sleep. That is, until I realized it was me out for the count with my mouth open. For a split second, I forget where I am until the teetering camera reminded me of the plane ride to Charlotte. Without thinking, I snatched the camera just before it toppled off my leg. How I did so without losing it is beyond me. The fact that I've gone this long without breaking the camera is a miracle in of itself. Doing so 35,000 feet in the air would be just my luck. After a steady breath, a voice in my head rattles. Time check! Out of habit, I glance at my watch when I decided to search for Danica. I sure could use a drink right about now, I think, and turn towards the back of the plane. My search makes it to the third row into coach. I stop and stare, realizing this to be the first in a long line of mistakes. For a father, there's no better feeling than having a little girl who looks up at him. Sure, every guy wants a son to carry on their namesake, to play ball with and yell like a wild man in the stands during sporting events. But there's nothing more gratifying than looking down at a little girl who gazes up at you and says, Daddy, I love you. At first, the man didn't see me. It took several seconds of me glaring at him before he looked my way. When our eyes finally connected, the expression on his face saddened me. His pursed lips and narrowing eyes read flat-out frustration. What hurt me the most, what tore at my soul, was how well I knew the thoughts in his head. At one point, I too wrestled with the exact frustration. Daddy, will you hold me? Said the young girl to her father. He brushed her away and looked around, her best efforts to get his attention. 3 years old, I guess, the same age Gabby was 11 years ago, which was the last time I saw her. Daddy, will you hold me? She pleaded a second time. Again, he pushed her away, trading her attention for that whatever was on his phone. I squeezed my left arm around the camera and forced it close to my body and unclenched my jaw. Hold her already. Grab her. Hold her in your arms until she wants to pull away. There will be a time when you can't. Life will be cruel and has no problem with reminding you. Half of me wants to go to him, take the phone away and tell him it could wait, but I don't. I turn and stare straight ahead, irritated by how people take time for granted. Like so many parents, he kept preoccupied with busy work and not giving his little girl the attention she needed, and all I could do is sit here. Again, she asks, Daddy, will you hold me? This time she's begging. After two more pleas, he speaks. I sigh for a half a second until he says, Would you take care of her? No, Daddy, I want you right now, not Mommy. I pressed deeper into my seat as if disappearing into the cushion was an option. Anything so I wouldn't have to listen to the neglect going on behind me. Take her, I whisper with a tear streaking down my right cheek. Take her into your arms and nurture your little girl, and do so because you never know when or if she will be taken away from you. There was a point when my life had some form of normalcy. Now, all I have is, I raise the camera from my lap and stare. Do I dare? Do I dare look? I miss her so much. I miss the Dad as much as I miss the feel of her small hand in mine. I miss the days where I walk around with her in my arms as she was a toddler. And most of all, I miss that special day where she slept on my shoulders, resting her body on the top of my head as we walked around the fair. I can still remember the white towel draped over her body to protect her from the sun. My neck hurt, my shoulders ached, but none of that mattered. What mattered was that she trusted me enough to sleep under my protection. Then the question returns. Do I dare? Do I dare look? If I look, I won't be able to stop. Except the pull is too strong. It calls me. Gabby calls me from inside. I remember her smile, the one that lit the darkest of rooms. Everything about my little angel makes me proud to have a daughter. Every picture I see is better than winning any jackpot. which makes me crave her presence more with each passing moment. "Hello, Mr. Bell," Danica said. "Can I get you anything?" The need for a drink drifted, as with many of the pictures that come and go within the camera. "No, thank you," I said without looking at her. "Well, let me know if you change your mind. We still have little over 2 hours in the air before we land in Charlotte." I offer a nod and a stare at the viewfinder from a distance. Just once, I'd like an answer to how this camera worked. Without a single power source or a button to turn it on or off, the camera comes to life once my eye touches the viewfinder's pad. From the outside, there's nothing spectacular looking about this camera. No identifying numbers or markings on any of the parts. And I checked, disassembling as much as I could. The one catch I figured out pretty early on is that I get 5 pictures a day. No more, no less. The times when they come to me vary, but when they do, the previous 5 pictures disappear, never to be found again, which makes it harder to digest because the pictures seem to go in a type of chronological order. I bring the camera to my eye. A bell overhead dings as a flight attendant announces, "The captain has turned on the fasten seatbelts sign. Please go to your seat and fasten your seatbelts." Just then, the plane bounces and seems to drop. For several seconds this goes on until it eventually levels off. The entire time the camera danced in my hand as if I were waving a wand. "Just look already," the voice continues. But I can't bring myself to do it. Yesterday's pictures reminded me of how little I am a part of her life. The turquoise dress she wore in the store served as a slap in the face of how much I've missed and how much I will miss. The list cuts like a knife. Her first day of school, learning to ride a bike, her first date, not to mention her first time behind the wheel. All of these are just touching the surface of the memories every father should be able to enjoy with his daughter. I close my eyes and wipe away the tears. The pain tears at my heart as I mentally replay the last set of pictures of my little angel shopping for a dress, her prom dress. Every man lives to witness his daughter grow into a young woman, being there as she walks the length of the stairs more beautiful than she's ever been. I won't be there for her, I mutter, and grasp the fact that I won't be the one walking her down the aisle. I let the camera fall to my lap. The one man who should lean upon for her protection, for her security, to be the powerful presence in her life is missing. "That's supposed to be me," a voice says. For whatever reason, my single tie to Gabrielle's life is this archaic and cryptic camera. How something that fits in the palm of my hand can both shatter and preserve my soul is a mystery of all mysteries. Right now, at this absolute moment, it has become the very thing I loathe. For several shaking moments, I stare at it, eyeing the lens as it stares back, accusingly. "Do you know, Gabrielle? Do you know that you can come to me for anything for as long as I am alive?" I think, forcing my thoughts through the lens, hoping that by some cosmic force she's able to hear what I'm saying. A forced smile stretches across my face just in case she can see me the same way I could see her. The seatbelt sign dings again, this time after the aerial bull riding begins. I raise the camera, gazing into the lens, and turn it around. My arm lifts and drops with each bout of turbulence and then steadies. I take a deep breath and hold it as the viewfinder inches closer to my eye. "Steady now," I plead, and close my right eye as the padded viewer touches my face. After one last shiver, I notice how cold my skin feels under my clothes. The plane stopped bucking through the turbulent air, but my nerves forced my body to continue a steady quiver. Now or never, I think. I open my eye when the camera powers on. Over the years, I've learned to take in every detail. The limited number of pictures must have meant enough to me, my little angel, for her or whoever to send them to me. I smile as my time with her for the day has begun. The first picture, a mountainscape, one I haven't seen. Its snow-capped peaks act as a backdrop to rolling hills, the greenest trees, and a lake so steady it mirrored the surrounding bushes. 30 seconds later, I pressed the right arrow next to the viewfinder. The next three pictures were like the first, with different angles, and I studied each picture and let their beauty imprint themselves in my memory, which I've done more than 1,800 times to date. 11 years of pictures embedding memories that I'll never forget. It wasn't until the last picture came into view did I understand. I didn't notice the snow-capped mountains at first. It was impossible. And that's why I let the camera drop away from my face. Dazed, I jammed the camera back to my eye. Once it powered off, that was it for the day. However, I brought it back just in time. The picture was still there, and then it happened. My eyes locked under hers. There, on the last picture of the day, a young Gabrielle stood in front of the same mountains, trees, and lake holding two articles that made my heart leap. In her right hand, dangling from a strap, hung an expensive-looking camera, not much different from the one in my hand, but newer. Her smile electrified my soul to the point where my body shook with excitement. She seemed happy and showed every bit in her smile. I absorbed it like a sponge. The tears resumed, making it next to impossible to see, but I managed and gazed at the second object in her hand. Its simplicity said more to me than the most expensive gift. They were words, simple words, but her words, handwritten on a piece of cardboard with black Sharpie. It read, "Daddy, I miss you."